What's good, YouTube? And happy Gamma Seal Day! After this video, I'm going to be reading the comment section and going straight back to that. I'm 2 episodes in on Netflix's Gamera, and yeah, the animation's not that good, but the story sure is. It's darker than I thought it would be, and the monster fights are good. But you're here for Yu-Gi-Oh, aren't you? Not Kaiju Review. And that being said, let's talk Megatins, because I'm hearing a mantra growing within the community. Hey, the ban list will save the tens. You're going to see the prices are going to go up. I've heard this over a dozen times, probably 20 plus at this point in the conversations, and I'm just not buying it. I don't think a singular ban list can save these tens like they did. Well, actually, it took 2 ban lists for the 2020 tens, where you have Dragoon, an import card where you can only get it there. There's multiple not so hot sets and Darkwing Blast within here, and yeah, Darkwing Blast was a good set, but you need so many different factors to rise and bubble inside here that I don't think financially a single one will get there. And also, we're in pre-sale lock. The competition hasn't even really begun. We're going to get to see that, tomorrow through the weekend, and they're already taking a loss selling these, as I've said before. Let's actually show you the math. It's $163, and that's actually bumping it up a couple cents, times the 87% to take off 13% in fees, 10% TCG, 3 credit card, etc. And then $8 here for shipping, which not everybody maybe has access to that, but you should be able to ship them around there probably. So when it comes down to that, what's that actually going to get you per 10? Well, you divide that by 12 at $11.15-ish. You know what they're paying on tens right now? Around 12.8. Before the MSRP was upped, a good deal on mass ordering tens was 10.8. Nobody's getting that anymore. They are definitely paying more than this, and if you're selling online, you're taking losses. Now, a lot of them will sell in person. They'll still do okay for stores. People will support their local game store on this, buy 2 tens, get a Lost Art promo, be able to make it a little more worth it. But the amount of people that I've been saying, these tens aren't so bad, maybe you should go get a case, maybe you should go do this or that. No, just because you can act surprised opening them and say you feel better about it, it is not, by the math, worth it, and it's only getting worse. Look at this. Lubellion went from $18 to $13, and the pre-sale label isn't even off. Now, could multiple people try to get together and buy things out early to make it appear better? Yeah, but the amount of tins that are absolutely going to crush quantities on the market as people burn and turn, try to put their money into Lorcana, the Legendary Collection. No, my bad. Sorry, Rarity Collection coming up. There's just so many different things with this that I don't think the singles can really push up uniformly and actually get there. And a ban list, what are you expecting? Like, if the ban list isn't that impactful, it can actually do it. Or if the ban list clears the way for the decks inside, they can do it. No, I don't think there's enough action or inaction combined that can boost this, and you would actually see the things not reprinted in the tens end up going up more for those decks rather than these recently reprinted cards, because that's how history shows it. You won't suddenly get star chases in the tens after they've gone down. People would hunt those outside cards first, and then estimated value pulled, what people are willing to pay for a deck. You might see baby bumps in prices, but I don't think full-on skyrocketing for a lot of the cards. Now, maybe a couple cards could actually do that, but what's missing in these tens, really? Like, what is not here? Well, a staple-ish card that is generic. There's not really those. While the Bestials are good against 2 of the best attributes in the game, Light and Dark, they're not good against everything, right? But you can play them Dragon Link-ish. You can do a lot of things with them. Generic's just not really in the cards here. So many things are specific decks, and yeah, you get a Super Poly target in Garura, and you get Blue Eyes Dark Magician stuff here and there, but it's not going to carry, and there's so many different comparisons to years past. So let's go through the last 2 years of failures, because we're approaching a third one if something does not turn around for these tens. And with a singular promo, I don't think it's it. Now, we didn't get promos the last few years, and this year, the 2022 ones, they're going for $112 a case. No shot. It says market price $130. Yeah, it's closer to that, $124 here. And then this guy has 37 at $140, which is still a big loss. It's way less than these tens. And what went wrong here? Can we say it together? Ratios and short prints. The DM era cards were short printed, and like 14 cards atop the set, the best cards were half printed, and that means the other ratio goes up on the other secret rare, so it's even worse than it seems. Oh, there's only half of those? No, it's not just half of those drag down, then the other ones go up as well. So it's just immensely harder to pull most of these cards on top. I think Ash was one of the only ones not that's towards the top, and then it was already scheduled for a structure deck. 2021 10s, you did have generic, triple tactic talents, Zeus for Xyz, but it just wasn't enough, and this is all the way down to 100 a case. That's really, really bad. We're talking just miserable price. Is that almost $8 a 10? Like, it's crazy to think about how far these fell. That's not typical because there's not inside value that carried, because Crossout Designator was reprinted the next year's 10s when it was just finally gaining traction, getting more attention in the competitive scene, getting more accepted in the deck list, and finding its formats, and then there's another reprint on, well, just the first one, but you get what I'm saying. It's right there around the corner instead of getting to age like Dragoon got to. And that's the only reason these are truly successful. Now you do have Unchained getting a bit better for itself, but Dragoon alone helped raise the price, and then it didn't really fall down because so many were ripped open in the hunt for him. It's a card casuals could rely on, and competitive, and you hit that sweet spot in a single card that debuted in here, and then it took a little bit longer for him to see an easy access reprint than it did for Crossout Designator. That's why these succeeded, and I don't like that model, by the way. I don't like having an expensive, crazy chase card up there. I do like sometimes being able to have multiple different $20 cards in the 10, so you get the value of your 10 back basically in one card, but I don't like seeing like $100 card come out of the 10s. I do not think that's the answer, and I think that's also somewhat greedy. Now, what's perplexing to me is this was the perfect 10 in a lot of people's minds. The Gold Sark 10 had Kazuki Takahashi art cards, which, we can't replicate all that much anymore. We have lost our creator for the game. And then you also had meta warping promos. I don't expect those every year, by the way, but I do expect solid reprints. And then you did have casual bait that goes back in the game, God cards, Regeki, Reborn, and this was very, very good. In fact, this A Magician of Black Chaos Max became playable in, what was it, Megalith? And then, you have the Blue Eyes up here at top, where I think you can still only get it here. So when it comes to these, they were pretty special. The cards inside were also solid, and that's what really drove these 10s, that guarantee. That's also what kind of started Mavens and people clamoring, finally we get something back, just sleeves. People don't feel the same way about the 25th anniversary promo, the singular promo that you get. A lot of people actually feel resentful because it's destroying the collector community in a lot of senses, that, I had a Starlight Stardust, which was 1 in 10 booster box cases that are very expensive, and here it is looking very similar here, and a lot of trust has been destroyed. I think Konami was super lazy, and people would have been just as happy to get, an altar art like this, and it sets it apart from those cards. Same with Black Rose, an altar art. We could have done that. An Armor Master, which was just in the Battles of Legend, as well as Exodia, which was just in Battles of Legend. You could have done different cool things here, and instead it was lazy. Utopia as well. There's so many different ways they could have approached it, with special altar arts debuting only in this 10 to set them apart while still being somewhat competition, and make them all the more special for everybody to get them instead of taking away. And then the rarity collections coming in as well, which I'm a huge fan of. I love the model in bringing OCG products over, but people are getting shakier once they see, I just had a Baroness collector rare and it's collector rare again already, a year, and stuff like that happening where they've collected long time, Ulti Veiler again. I think that's enough time passed, and that's okay, and they will be different. But when it comes down to these comparisons, this was absolutely lazy, including IP Masquerena, where it could have been the altar art. Very tiny changes that were sloppy, that were not good for product. And specifically, that does end up hurting interest as people pull out and away from the game. Stores are pulling out and away from the game. The whales are pulling out and away. And that leaves a lot of void of, how are the big stores going to continue to shred open stuff and give singles unless they're doing it for the final time, and that's a pretty scary thought. Now, the most comparison to this 10 that I've seen is the 2017, and I don't think that's fair. The 2017 was a good 10, except it was executed terribly, where there was instantly a ban list on Zodiac right after. Oh, by the way, when the 10 hit, a lot of people forget this, Cosmic Cyclone and D-Berry are the two top $20 cards at the time on debut of the 10s, were already announced for structured decks, but regionals were back and people wanted to play for a bit, and a month later they were there. Oh, the Dark Magician casual stuff's there, that'll save it? That was actually in the legendary decks that same year as well. So they actually just drained every bit of value from these 10s between an automatic ban list, which is why people are saying there's fears for this year's. No, they haven't done anything like that since 2017, but people are hoping that their deck won't get hit, so that's an interesting comparison. And then we do see just multiple reprints just way too fast. And Konami has kind of backed off that model for the most part, but we still see it here or there. So my thoughts are, what could have really saved this? Impactful promos. You actually have 7 different protagonists on the cover. You could have done a special card for each player inside and just made them decent. And maybe one ends up breaking into the meta on accident by what you created or something. But do a card around each person in the 10 instead of these promos of cards we already have. There are so many different ways you could have approached this, Konami. There are so many different ways you could have made it impactful. Do a promo pack, not a singular promo. And look at the past. When I do say this, I'm not going all the way, oh, back in my day, the collector tins, Maxi, Torga. No. Let's talk specifically about Megatins. Desires, Ogre, Norden, changing the game kind of very similar to how the 2019 10s did with Nibiru and Shifter and Dark Ruler No More. You have so many different options to mix in a good long-lived card like Desires or Pot of Duality, I believe was one forever ago, but I think that's a collector 10. When it comes down to the history of the game, promos help sell product. Konami has walked away from that for a long time. Then they messed with ratios inside 2 years ago. And now we're just in this spot where we're watching and waiting and hoping for something better for product, and we keep getting fed worse ones. And that's exactly why this is going. It's not a bubble. It's not going to be saved by a ban list, in my opinion. And I get a lot of people hoping for it. And if you're coming in from Master Duel and you're used to the power of a ban list shaking up the market, all of a sudden, I don't think it's going to do it here. Again, I think it's going to do it to the cards outside of the 10s that are harder to get. But that's my opinion. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. I'm going to back off the discussions from this except for Market Watch and looking at how things are going and try to be a little less opinionated, but this is all coming from statistics and numbers, and I just have a fire lit up in me, and that's kind of why I'm approaching it this way. Thanks for watching, everybody.